So maybe a follow-up question, Clark, would be just around, obviously ADAPT is the organization, the entity, the movement that you connected with strongly. I wonder if you talked about taking part in some of these demonstrations. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about maybe some specific examples or specific actions, where they took place and what impact you think those kinds of actions had on changing things.
Okay. If I were to, I'm going to ask you, Jeff, will your question be in the video?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to take that kind of backwards. The impact of our actions, I feel like, unfortunately, despite the fact that ADAPT itself has been doing it since '83, and I've been involved since '95. Our bill, which is brilliant and says that the guarantee should be should change from, if you qualify for Medicaid services, then you're guaranteed at least a bed in a nursing home. We'd have that change. Our bill would have that change to, if you qualify for Medicaid services, you'll be guaranteed to. We guarantee that we'll ask you where you'd prefer to receive those services, and then we'll work around whatever your life choice is. And that is still not. That's still not the law of the land even now, despite the fact that every time somebody chooses to come to live in their own home instead of being in a nursing home, it's usually, on average, only 1/3 the price of keeping them in the nursing home. Despite the fact that in 1999, the Supreme Court found in favor of two ladies who sued basically what would be the Department of Community Health in their state. They said, well, we don't want to live in this institution. We want to receive our services in the community or in our apartment or choose a home of our own or whatever. And the Department of Community Health guy says, well, we're doing what we are told that we have to do. We're providing the service. And the ladies pressed, and they went to court, and they won. And the DCH guys, Olmstead. This is the Olmstead Act, or the result was the Olmstead Act. This was LC and EW versus Olmstead. The Olmstead guy, the director of the department, he kept appealing. Now we're at the Supreme Court of the state, and then I think there's a regional for the country stage, and then it was the Supreme Court of the United States, and he kept appealing, and they kept winning. So we're so happy that he was so blind, and pushed it all the way to the Supreme Court, because now anybody that wants to get out can sue or demand, based on that case, that they have the right to live in the community. But that doesn't change the law itself that sends a majority of Medicaid funds into nursing homes. But anyway, so there's still a long way to go on that, and we're making little bits of progress, I guess, in people's minds. And we're, getting more and more legislators and more and more representatives and senators signing on each year. But it's, if you recall your civics lesson, Jeff, 2 years and you're out, and you got to put it back in and start over. And then, so I don't know. It's hard to say that we've had much impact and on the overall battle, but I think things are moving along in the right direction. Some of the things that my favorite to give a flavor of what the ADAPT action looks like, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of my favorite one was my very first one, first action, which was 1995 in Baltimore. We were going to hit, as they say, headquarters of the third largest nursing home in the country, which was in Silver Spring, Maryland, and that was, I believe, Manor Care nursing homes. And we were bused from Maryland out to Silver Spring, or maybe we had I don't remember where we stayed, but anyway, we were bused quite a ways out to the site, and the bus drivers were actually told that to stop taking us out there because that was, I don't know, beyond their jurisdiction or whatever. But because they heard what we were doing, they kept taking us anyway. So every hour and a half or whatever, we'd get another 40 people of our 500, would show up. And there were people ADAPT members that drove from their areas around the country that had vans, and they were going back and forth as fast as possible to, go back to the hotel, fill the van up with a bunch of gimps, and get them back out to the protest or whatever. And it was a big walled community. It was probably Grand Rapids blocks, probably, I don't know, like 2 by 2 miles or something. It was a huge complex, and it was walled, and there were gates, and and we were protesting. We were holding 3 or 4 of the main gates. The free our brothers, free our sisters, free our people now, that kind of stuff, and up with attendant care, down with nursing homes, and it was just really powerful stuff. More powerful when it's more than just me doing it, obviously, but it got really powerful when, as a point of escalation, we and it was very well organized. It was my first time there, so I was not in. They have color leaders and day leaders, and people got flags, so you know who you can ask questions of, and everything. And it's really almost like militarily, organized, really, really well. So somebody knew what was happening. I wasn't the one. I was just following directions at the time, but there's this intersection that went by right where we were, and there was this, the instruction was, when the light turns red for the road right in front of us, we're to pour out this driveway and take this beltway, which was like 7 lanes, 3 lanes going each way. And it turned out that was the beltway between Maryland and D.C. When we held that for like 3 or 4 hours, and there were helicopters flying around, and there were the big black SWAT team trucks, and various sorts of vehicles that they were going to try to haul us off with and stuff, and we were. It was great. We were from one sidewalk all the way over to the other sidewalk, and there were cars, that were like right behind me that had been planning on going through this light that we are now blocking. And we quickly handcuffed ourselves together, and we were like 4 lanes of wheelchairs and people deep, all the way across, and it was really crazy. And and then we got arrested, of course, and we the funny thing is on these actions is that usually the facilities are not equipped to deal with people with disabilities. So we were actually processed in a nearby armory rather than being taken back to jail, and and that was just incredible. And then the very next day after we got out, then we were sitting on the steps of Newt Gingrich's apartment. We'd completely taken up his whole yard, the whole Circle Drive. There were there were cops trying to come in and, you know, break us up, but then they found that they were just surrounded by us, so then they get out, and then it's kind of a weird thing, like when you're holding the door, the cops come up to block the door so you can't block it, but then they're blocking it for you, so then you get around them, and then they're like, well, this isn't really making any sense, so then they pull out, and then there's just somebody on the inside of the door or whatever. But yeah, it's really a lot of fun, actually. And you know, sometimes you feel a little bad for the office worker or whatever who's there and, you know, has nothing to do with the decisions that were made. But you know, that's why you're respectful everywhere you go. We've gone to like the Department of Transportation, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the way that I explain what our goal is if there wouldn't have to be a protest. I mean, our point is that we've written letters for months, and we've tried to get a hold of the director of the agency, and we've been blown off. So now what we're doing is we're coming from our hotel all in one. We're coming through the front door, assuming that we didn't get blocked. We're coming up to the front desk, and somebody will politely say that we've been trying to get a hold of the director. Could you please have him come down? Now, they never, we never get that far. Maybe in the beginning of ADAPT, before I was involved, maybe that worked out. But they know that, I mean, because if they then said, well, no, we're not, he's not here, or we're not going to, you know, he doesn't want to talk to you, then we would be already in the lobby, and we would just make a whole bunch of noise in the lobby and disturb their business and everything, and disrupt their day. So they block us at the front door usually instead.